What's going on, everybody in the YouTube world? I wanted to do a video. I'm gonna kind of step back from being on YouTube, probably by the end of this year, and I wanted to do a video on. This is kind of gonna be a video about a lot of things. One thing I'm gonna talk about is I was watching something about Colin Kaepernick. And, I've done videos about Colin Kaepernick in the past, and some people are like, he's a true revolutionary. He's a blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there. I got into an argument with a girl. We used to be cool for like 5-6 years on Facebook because I said that he was a fraud. So she's sitting there like, he sacrificed everything for you. And I'm sitting there laughing at her. I'm like, well, what has he sacrificed? The guy is already a millionaire. He's already got $1 million book deal, and he's basically got got an endorsement deal with Nike, and I think one's coming up with Ford. And so-called black people, you need to get smarter, man. You cannot be a revolutionary if you cash a corporate check. It's just like when I did my video talking about lawyers do not help you. They help the court. Okay? This is what I want you to understand. If you go, I think it's America's Jurisprudence number 7, the 7th edition, I think. If you look in there at the duties of a lawyer, the duties of the lawyer is to the court, then to the public, then to their client. It's the same thing with these corporate people. If the corporate money is going to get fucked up, they ain't fucking up the corporate money for you. And I tried to tell her that Colin Kaepernick was a fraud. She didn't listen to me. She argued with me and deleted me off of Facebook. For a man, she knew me for 5 years and didn't even know this guy and deleted me off of Facebook. And I don't care because I don't give two shits. I don't even have a Facebook account anymore. But you have to understand, when people have corporate interests and corporate companies are paying them, they are not revolutionaries. They are not. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because I'm in Philadelphia, and in Philadelphia they have kind of basically affinity with Benjamin Franklin. So they think Benjamin Franklin is the actual like a founding father, and he's very important figure in history. Yes, he is. But Benjamin Franklin was not only a spy, he was a fraud. So if you let history tell shit, the people who want to revise your history will tell you one thing, but the reality is still out there. You just have to search for it. Yes, Benjamin Franklin was a sellout and a fraud, and everybody who signed the Declaration of Independence were frauds. They sold out the United States to the British Empire, which is now ran by the Vatican. But that's a long story. See, when you look at something for face value, you get it for face value. If you don't look into it any deeper, you won't understand. And this is the reason why I'm really doing this video. I got so many things I want to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about. The reason why I'm getting off YouTube is because once I started doing YouTube videos, I started having people come up to me and talk to me like about crazy stuff. And it'd be stuff that I did videos on, and I don't even know these people. Like out of the blue, I had a lawyer come up to me, talk to me on something, and it was really, really crazy. I had a guy ask me a question just coming out of the blue. Like, shit's just been happening weird for me. So I just said, you know what? I'm going back to the private. I understand the difference between public and private now, so I'm staying in the private. But the reality is, yes, Colin Kaepernick is a fraud. Most of these people are frauds. You have to understand, when it comes to an athlete, they're trying to venerate and glorify athletes just like they did in ancient Rome. The gladiators were venerated. They were star gladiators. It wasn't just like they said in that movie Gladiator. Gladiators were venerated. They built stadiums and things to keep the people occupied and to keep their minds off of really what's going on around them. And the same thing happens today. The funny thing about it is, I was talking about this when I was out to lunch with my sister. I was talking about how they're building stadiums in Milwaukee for the for the Bucks. And they're building a stadium, but the taxpayers are going to have to pay for that stadium, and then they don't receive any residuals or revenue from that stadium. Not to mention, they're going to have to pay to go to that stadium to see the team, or to see the team that they want to see. So it in no way benefits the taxpayer. It's the same thing in Milwaukee. They're trying to build a new a new courthouse. So what happens with these courthouses is a lot of fraud goes on behind these courthouses because people do not look into the CAFR or the financial accounting of their city. Everybody needs to do that. Believe me, everybody needs to do it. People are not looking into their CAFR of their city, so they do not know if these funds to build a new courthouse are going to, fill up the judge slush fund or to fill up the judge's retirement funds or other people's retirement funds. So a lot of things with the reverence of police and all this is all fraudulent bullshit. The whole thing with the people being outraged about Colin Kaepernick and the athletes not kneeling when they did their flag ceremony. It has nothing to do with what people are talking about. They don't understand it. And it's a parroted talking point that, there are people in the military who go over to other countries or fight for our freedom or save our freedom. I'm like, when's the last time the military has done anything for your freedom? They haven't. The military is basically put in place to keep the United States or the global dominance of however they want the power to be balanced. That's all the military is. So I have no reverence for the military. I revere the people that are in the military, and I appreciate them because they're acting out on false orders or bad orders. But I don't have to respect that. You know what I'm saying? The military is not what you think it is. Like, the people in the United States are having their rights and liberties taken away from them every single day. But you don't hear the military doing shit about that. So they're not doing anything for my rights or my freedoms. So you see these conservatives who like to throw this up. And I'm like, both sides are stupid. I'm sorry, both sides are stupid. Let's not say stupid. Ignorant. Both sides are very, very ignorant. One side will sit there and say, well, Colin Kaepernick is fighting for oppressed people. No, he was not. He was looking for guaranteed contracts for the NFL. It had absolutely nothing to do with your black ass. Start waking up, man. It's every person almost every person that was affiliated with that kneeling incident, Michael Bennett, Richard Sherman, they were all talking about guaranteed contracts. That's why the NFL was kneeling. It ain't had nothing to do with your black ass, because if they wanted to do something, they have enough money to go down and actually change something, to be lobbyists and to change votes and to change policies. Now, this video is going to be a rare video for me because I think it might go over 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about something else too. So this is kind of like a hodgepodge because I haven't done a video in a while about the lie that black people commit the most violent crimes in the United States of America. Now, I used to go along with this, and I used to be like, well, black people kill themselves and they do all this stuff. Yeah, if the news shows it, it shows that the black people are killing each other, but you have to understand the news is all manufactured. Now, am I going to sit there and say that black people are innocent, that we do, all of this is a conspiracy? It may be, but I'm not going to go there because to me, that's making an excuse. Now, I want you to understand the judicial system a little bit more, as I've touched on this system a little bit, but I want you to understand it a little more. With the judicial system, everything is not as you see it is. When you go into court, it is not really a court, okay? It is a privately owned corporation. They basically are slave runners. That's what a court is. It is a privately traded company. They have a DUNS number. They trade securities. That's what a court does. It trades securities. It receives money. The court is a bank. You're either going there to make a withdrawal or to make a deposit. And to make a withdrawal, you have to make a deposit. So if you're going to sue somebody, you have to pay court fees unless you get those fees waived. I'm not going to get into that in this video. But when so-called black people are going to court, it is completely different than so-called white people. Remember, black and white is just legal fictions. There are no black people and there are no white people. This is just legal fictions. When people go into a court, what happens is I think it's 93% of trials plea out. So they never go to trial. So the court's not even prepared for a trial. This is why you're stupid if you go to court and you accept a plea bargain. Because 93% of cases plea out. The court is not even prepared for a trial. They've made so many procedural issues or so many procedural errors that you can get almost any case dismissed because the court is not prepared for a trial. So what happens is a so-called person of color may go to court and not be given the option to plea, or not be given the same option to plea as a so-called white person. This is the racism that I can see in court. You can see it. Just I urge all of you to go to court. Just sit in court probably, let's say, if you get a week off or something, go to court for a few days. Remember, you're not the plaintiff, you're not the defendant. Just go there and sit in court and see how unethical a court is because it's not a court. In 1933, since 1933, our court systems have been taken over by a military system. That's why when you go to court, you have to prove your innocence. You're innocent before proven guilty. Otherwise, there's been so many procedures that have been violated or stripped through lawmaking. I mean, if you allow attorneys to make your laws, they're going to make laws that favor attorneys. You see what I'm saying? And the only reason why the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer is because the rich keep making laws to favor the rich, not the poor people. See, all of these diagrams, all of these graphs, just break it down to the most common denominator or the common sense thing. They make all of this stuff to make it complex. The rich make rules for the rich. They don't make rules for your poor ass. So when you thinking the rich are going to take care of you, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. The only person that has to take care of you is yourself. So stop listening to some of these people, man. They don't know what they're talking about, and they try to make shit so complex. I made a video talking about lawyers and why you don't need a lawyer, and there's this guy in my comment section trolling me. And he's sitting there saying, well, I would like to go to a class, trained law, where you're training the law. And I was like, what the hell does that have to do with my video? Prove to me that the lawyers do not have an obligation to the court. Because if the obligation of the court, if their obligation to their client intervenes with their obligation to the court, they have to yield to the court. Your lawyer will abandon you in the middle of a trial and won't there ain't shit you can do about it. That's why I said you don't need lawyers. And lawyers really turn you over to the state. That's what they do. They're going to walk you through the process and say, there's nothing I can do for you. And you're going to sit there and like, oh, man, there's nothing you can do for me. And I'm like, nope, it ain't, because there isn't. So you've paid a person probably $3,500, $4,000, $10,000, whatever the hell, just to not be able to help you for stuff that you could have looked up on your own and done your own. Now, you might have a problem. Now, you can hire an attorney to get documents into trial. You can hire an attorney to basically speak, but you have to have your hand up their ass. So most of them aren't going to escrow their bar card because the bar is just a membership. It is just a membership. That is not a license to practice law. So I kind of jumped over a lot of things, and this is going to be one of my few last videos, but I touched on a lot of stuff. But I'm going to touch on one more thing, economic warfare that's going on right now that most of you guys are not prepared for, don't even know that's going on. I urge all of you to go and to look at an inflation calculator and enter in the price of money since you've been born to the current price of money now, meaning the value of money, the purchasing power of money now. And you'll understand of where the dollar is going. Now, how to securitize your investments and things like that? Listen to comedian George Carlin, and he said it the best. He said they're going to get it all back anyway. So if they're going to get all your money, all your retirement funds back, why would you save money? Why would you have retirement funds? I'm not saying to not have reserves, but the dollar is built to go to zero. And I'm not going to fearmonger you like all these people, and I'm not going to tell you to get into shitcoin, as I call it. It's shitcoin. It's another Ponzi scheme. It is another fucking Ponzi scheme. Oh, Bitcoin has and it has a cap on it, and it has the blockchain, and people are stupid. They will see something that somebody tells them, and they can't. If I can't know who created the shit, it is a fucking Ponzi scheme. You should be able to tie anything that's created with currency to a person, because that is the person you can hold accountable. They have some fictional character who created this, and they created a cap on Bitcoin and all this stuff. And people act like this is going to be the wave of the future. Yeah, it's going to be the wave of the future, but there's no guarantee that it's going to last. When the big players get into Bitcoin, they will take Bitcoin to where they want it to be. Meaning that all of y'all little players that get in there, you throw your retirement, your savings in there, when it gets eaten up by the pump and dump schemes that they run, it's the same thing with the housing market, the same thing with savings account. It's the same thing, man. When y'all gonna start waking up, man? Please, wake up. It's your boy. I'm in Philadelphia, one of my favorite cities of all time. I'm out.